Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're diving into a property dispute. And this one's really unsettling. It'll make you rethink everything you thought you knew about owning a home, especially somewhere you'd think would be safe, like Europe.
Right.
Imagine you're living in your dream home,
Yeah.
a beautiful villa, you renovated top to bottom,
Mm,
and then bam, you're locked out.
right.
And to make it
Oh
worse,
no.
you have to watch as your home is slowly well destroyed.
It's wild. It sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
But this is real life. This is happening to a real person
Oh, yeah.
in Budapest, Hungary. And what we'll uncover in this deep dive is just how easily systems can be manipulated, how vulnerable property rights can be even in a country that seems really stable.
Exactly. We need to understand how this even happened.
Okay.
So let's rewind to the beginning. Our owner purchased their apartment and garage in this villa back in 2008.
Okay.
Prime location, prestigious area, surrounded by these beautiful homes and greenery. Sounds idyllic, right?
It does. But remember that no communal fees detail we mentioned.
Yeah.
That's a key factor in how this whole story unfolds. You see, in this specific building, each owner was responsible for their own section.
Okay.
No shared costs, no joint decisions about maintenance.
And from what I understand, the owner meticulously renovated everything, even going above and beyond to upgrade shared parts of the building. Talk about taking pride in your home.
For sure, they were really invested, both emotionally and financially, which makes what happens next even more jarring. Fast forward to 2016.
Okay.
A couple moves into the upstairs apartment,
Okay.
and they start renovations, just like any new homeowner would.
Seems pretty normal so far. But here's the first red flag.
Eh,
Their renovations never seemed to end. It was constant construction noise disruption.
It got so bad that the owner actually had to move out.
Really?
The disruption was just unbearable.
I can imagine.
Imagine trying to live your life with that constant din above you.
Yeah. No peace and quiet. I see why they had to leave. But here's where things take a really strange turn. While all this construction's going on, this couple keeps expressing interest in buying the owner's apartment. Seems friendly enough on the surface, right?
Sure, there's always a but, isn't there?
Right.
The owner starts noticing this disturbing pattern. Potential buyers who showed interest in their apartment would suddenly back out after speaking with the couple.
Okay, now that's suspicious.
Yeah.
Why would those potential buyers change their minds so abruptly? It's almost like,
Like the couple was intentionally discouraging them, maybe even saying things to deter them.
oh, wow.
Their motives weren't totally clear, but their actions were definitely raising red flags.
So it's like they were trying to box the owner and making it difficult for them to sell.
Exactly. And when it became clear that the owner wasn't going to sell things escalated, the wife took possession of all the building's original documents.
But what? How did she even manage that?
It's unclear how she got access, but this move was incredibly strategic. Controlling those documents meant limiting the owner's ability to fight back. It's like taking away someone's ammunition before a battle.
That's just low. And as if that wasn't bad enough, they then try to impose this crazy communal fee on the owner, 5 times the minimum wage. But there were no shared amenities, no justification for this sudden fee.
This is a classic tactic, unfortunately. By fabricating a debt, they were putting immense pressure on the owner.
Yeah.
Think about it. They're already being driven out by the endless construction. Now they're hit with this unjustified fee. It's a clear attempt to exploit the system and force a sale.
That's unbelievable. And to add insult to injury, someone filed a noise complaint against the owner. But remember, the owner had already moved out. The apartment was empty.
Right. That detail is just bizarre. Was this a genuine complaint or something more sinister?
Right.
We can't say for sure. But it definitely deepens the mystery, raises questions about the couple's intentions.
Totally.
Were they trying to create a false record against the owner?
It's so strange. But you know what really sent this situation into a tailspin? What truly shocked the owner?
Picture this. It's August 2021, and the owner decides to check on their property.
Okay.
What they find is absolutely jaw-dropping. Their place is swarming with construction workers. Their belongings are scattered everywhere. It's utter chaos.
Well, you're telling me they came back to find their home basically like under siege?
Essentially, yes.
Wow.
Construction was in full swing on the entire building facade, including the owner section.
What?
No notice, no consent, no permits.
No.
Their terrace was a jungle of scaffolding. The living room was littered with debris, and their garden, which they lovingly cared for, was being used as a dumping ground for construction materials.
That's just unbelievable. A complete violation of their privacy. Did they at least try to get an explanation from the couple?
They did, but instead of, addressing the owner's very valid concerns, the couple called a secret meeting.
A secret meeting.
Yeah, and I use that term loosely because it wasn't a meeting of the building's residents, as you might expect.
Okay, so what was this secret meeting all about?
Well, it was held at a different location without proper notice to the owner.
Oh, wow.
And its purpose? To unfairly burden the owner with the entire cost of the facade work.
Seriously. They just decided to hold a meeting and unilaterally decide that the owner had to foot the bill for their unauthorized construction.
It was a calculated move, plain and simple.
Yeah.
They were trying to back the owner into a financial corner, hoping the pressure would force them to sell. Remember that detail about no communal fees?
Right.
That comes into play here.
Okay.
By manipulating the situation, they were attempting to create a financial obligation where none existed before.
So they were exploiting that unique setup to their advantage.
Precisely. But thankfully, the owner wasn't going to take this lying down. They challenged this so-called decision in court. And you know what?
What happened?
They won. The court saw right through the couple's scheme.
That's a small victory in all of this chaos. Did the court recognize how ridiculous the couple's claims were?
Absolutely. The court's ruling completely vindicated the owner.
Right.
They declared the couple's actions unfounded, and their claims, and I'm quoting here, nonsensical.
Wow.
But even with this legal victory, the damage was already done.
Yeah, it's like winning a battle but losing the war. What state was the property left in after this whole ordeal?
The couple's botched construction had left the building in a dangerous condition. An independent expert was brought in, and their assessment was grim.
Oh.
The property was deemed unsafe, a direct result of the couple's reckless actions.
So not only was the owner emotionally and financially drained from this fight, but their home was now considered a safety hazard.
Exactly. It was a nightmare scenario. They couldn't sell the property because of the ongoing dispute. They couldn't rent it out because it was deemed unsafe, and they couldn't even repair the damage because the couple's actions had created this huge legal mess. It's heartbreaking.
It's like they were trapped with no way to escape the situation the couple had created.
You got it. And just when you think it can't get any crazier, it does. The couple then tries to get a permit for their unauthorized construction retroactively.
They wanted to legitimize what they'd already done, even though it was completely against the rules. Did they think they could just rewrite history?
Apparently so, but their application was riddled with problems. They fabricated information, lied about the project's scope, and messed with the timeline. Despite all this, the permit was initially granted.
Seriously, how was that even possible?
It seems like a major oversight, right?
Yeah.
But hold on, because it gets even weirder. The couple then appealed their own permit.
They appealed the permit they themselves had applied for. What in the world was going on?
It's a baffling move. It left the entire project in legal limbo, further complicating an already ridiculous situation. Their motives are unclear, but it's yet another example of their blatant disregard for the rules and the impact of their actions on the owner.
So the owner was still caught in this web of legal maneuvering. Did they ever try to reason with the couple directly to find some sort of compromise?
They did. The owner desperately wanted a resolution, so they attempted to have a conversation to find some common ground.
Okay.
But the couple completely shut down any attempt at dialogue.
Wow, so they refused to even acknowledge the harm they had caused.
Exactly. And that refusal speaks volumes, doesn't it? It suggests they were not interested in finding a fair solution or even in taking responsibility for their actions.
It's almost as if they were enjoying the owner's suffering, like it was some sort of twisted game to them.
It's certainly a chilling thought, and it gets worse. In a truly disturbing turn of events, the couple then tried to manipulate the owner's partner into providing false testimony.
Oh, no.
They used that fabricated noise complaint we discussed earlier,
Right.
claiming it had negatively impacted their newborn child's health.
Oh, no, they're bringing a child into this. That's just beyond the pale.
It's a new low. To use a vulnerable child as leverage is reprehensible.
Yeah.
It shows you the lengths they were willing to go to in order to get their way.
This whole situation is spiraling further and further out of control. I can't believe the audacity of this couple.
It's truly mind-boggling. But there's another layer to this story that we haven't even touched on yet. Remember how we mentioned that the couple wasn't the only problem?
Right, the mystery neighbor.
Well, it's time to introduce the other neighbor.
Okay, what role did they play in this whole mess?
That's what we'll uncover in the final part of this deep dive.
Mhm.
And trust me, their actions are just as shocking, just as infuriating. So what's fascinating about this other neighbor is that their behavior kind of mirrors the couples in a lot of ways. It's almost like they're working from the same playbook,
Yeah.
completely disregarding the law and the owner's rights.
So are you saying there's a possibility they were like colluding with the couple?
We can't say for sure without more evidence.
Okay.
But the similarities in their actions are definitely striking. Both of them engaged in unauthorized construction. Both ignored legal procedures, and both just demonstrated a complete disregard for the owner's property. It makes you wonder, is this just a coincidence, or is there something more going on here?
Right, right. And remember how we talked about the owner going above and beyond to renovate not just their own apartment, but the shared parts of the building? Well, this other neighbor seems to have taken the opposite approach. They just completely neglected their section of the property and let it fall into disrepair.
Exactly. And that neglect had consequences. The dilapidated condition of their property not only brought down the overall, aesthetic of the building, but also created potential safety hazards. It's almost like they were intentionally dragging down the entire property value.
So they're neglecting their own space, adding to the chaos the couple is already causing. What else did this neighbor do?
Well, mirroring the couple, they decided to embark on their own unauthorized construction project.
Oh, no.
Again, no permits, no regard for regulations, just a blatant disregard for the rules.
It's like they saw what the couple was getting away with and thought, hey, I can do that too. It's unbelievable how selfish some people can be.
This whole situation really exposes a big issue, and that's the importance of having clear property laws and strong enforcement. When those things are lacking or when people think they're above the law, it creates a breeding ground for this kind of exploitation.
It's a scary reminder that even in places we think of as safe and stable, like Europe, people can be victimized by those willing to manipulate the system for their own gain.
For sure. This case raises so many questions about, the effectiveness of legal systems and the safeguards in place to protect property owners.
So where does this leave the owner?
Honestly, their nightmare continues. Their beautiful home is a battleground, damaged and unsafe, and they're stuck in this legal mess fighting for their basic rights against neighbors who seem determined to make their life a living hell. It's just so infuriating. You try to do everything right, you invest in your home, you're a responsible owner, and then this happens. It makes you wonder, what recourse do people even have when faced with such a blatant disregard for the law? And how can we as a society protect property rights and ensure justice for those who are wronged?
Those are the questions we all need to be asking.
Right.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. What would you do if you were in the owner's shoes? How would you navigate this legal maze, protect your property, and fight for what's rightfully yours? It's a scary thought, but it shows how important it is to understand our rights and know how to defend them. Because as we've seen in this case, the system doesn't always protect the innocent.